Hi guys, welcome back to the Johnny Gets Cash YouTube channel. This is the latest car that I have bought to prepare and sell, and it is a little cracker. This is a Suzuki Jimny from 2008, and this particular example has covered just over 53,000 miles from new. It is a JLX Plus spec truck, which means it's got half leather interior, air conditioning, switchable four-wheel drive, all of that good stuff. Now, these little 4x4s in the part of the world I'm located in are very, very popular, and Suzuki Jimnys especially, because they've got a bit of a reputation for reliability and toughness on a small scale. Not dissimilar to a Daihatsu 4-track, but of course the Jimny is a small petrol engine vehicle, 1.3 litre petrol, rather than that 2.8 in the 4-track that you sometimes see me talk about. But anyway, this Jimny is the latest one I'm going to be preparing for sale. Now, this car, as you see it right now, is exactly how it's come to me. So, although there's no major flaws with it, it definitely does need some help. You can see it's dirty from transporting it, but that's not too bad. That's a quick clean, we'll sort that. The paint itself, whereas free from damage, it is covered in hazy scratches. So, this is definitely going to get a paint correction, and I think it will benefit greatly from it. However, with the low mileage, I'm not expecting too many issues. I bought this little Jimny with virtually no MOT. As it stands today, I think there's 4 days remaining on the MOT, so clearly I've got to put new MOT on it before I sell it. But before I can even do that, I want to go through the truck and make sure everything is as good as it should be. Now, the other thing to mention on this truck, as soon as I bought it, it did need a clutch. The first time I even moved the car from its parking spot, I knew that the clutch needed doing. So, before this video was shot, this has actually been away to the mechanic I use, and it's had a brand new XED clutch set put in it. So it's got an uprated clutch, basically, a nice unit put in it, and it feels absolutely perfect. Aside from that, what needs doing mechanically? Well, it's not quite due a service yet, looking at the intervals. However, I think I'm probably going to do an oil and filter service on it. Just because I've got it here, I may as well do that. The other problem with it is there is an engine light on. Now, I've had a few of these Jimnys, and the sort of more modern ones like this JLX Plus, they generally do throw up engine lights while I've got them, and invariably it always tends to be something related to the O2 sensors. It's just a common thing on these Jimnys, seemingly. They seem to munch through O2 sensors. So I'm pretty sure that's what the issue will be. However, I will plug the car in shortly, and we'll find out for sure. Obviously that will get sorted before the car goes. I mean, it needs to be sorted before MOT anyway, but I certainly won't be selling a vehicle with an engine light on. So, it's had a new clutch. It's going to probably have an O2 sensor. It's going to have a light service. I'm going to go through the car entirely, so that means the underside as well, because obviously it is a Japanese truck, and I want to make sure that there isn't any corrosion to speak of. But I'll do that in this video. This is going to be a really, really quick turnaround, I'm hoping. So you'll see everything happen in this video, and then it will be listed for sale. But the perks of this car is it's a late JLX Plus. It's 2008. As I say, 53,000 miles. I don't think that's too bad at all for the age. Exterior wise, there's not any damage to sort, but the plastics look a little bit tired. They'll be getting addressed. As I've mentioned, the paintwork needs a bit of attention. Inside, it hasn't had any floor mats in it since I bought it, so it's a little bit grotty. I'm sorry if it's hard to see. It's inside because of the weather, which you can probably hear isn't great. But yeah, the seats and everything, free from damage. They just need a good clean up. Really, really pleased with how this thing looks all the way around. It's actually a really nice example. So, that's the intro to the truck. What I'm going to do now, before I get on and clean it, and as you can see the weather outside is awful, before I get on and clean it, I'm just going to sort that engine light out, because I think that should be the first port of call. So that's what I'm going to start with. Okay, so I've read the error codes stored on the Jimny, and the code that came up was related to the EGR valve. Bit of a fiddle getting it out, so I didn't really record that. But I've pulled the EGR off the engine now, and it does look a little bit sooted up. So I think potentially what I can do is give this a good clean up, put it all back together, refit it, clear the code, go for a quick drive and see if it flags the error again. Hopefully that will sort it. That's the easiest solution. If it doesn't sort it, then potentially either a new EGR valve, which is about, I think about 200 quid. I'm not totally sure. I'll have to check, but I think they're about 200 pounds for this engine. Anyway, it'll be a new EGR valve, or there's something else which is incorrectly flagging the EGR as the problem, but that'll take a little bit more investigation. So anyway, for now, I'm going to separate this, see if I can clean it out as best as I can, and I'll show you what I find along the way. Okay, it all appears to be quite free now that I've removed that solenoid. Regardless, I'll still give that a good clean out, but I was expecting that to be either jammed or non-operational somehow, but really it's not too bad. Anyway, like I say, that's going to get clean regardless as I've come this far. That might suggest that there's a problem with the solenoid itself. Hopefully not. I mean, it's quite a low mileage car, isn't it? I can't imagine there'd be too much wrong with it, but yeah, I think all I can do is clean that out and go from there. Okay, so I've cleaned that EGR valve out, I've refitted it, reset the code, taken the Jimny for a quick drive, and annoyingly the engine light has come back on. So I know the EGR valve itself is totally clean now. Obviously I can't vouch for the actuator or the solenoid itself, but what I did realise I hadn't cleaned, there's this link pipe which goes from the EGR to the intake manifold. Now, I think that could be slightly blocked. I mean, it's quite a small diameter pipe, as you can see, and it does look a little bit worse for wear. I think it's probably quite unlikely that that'll be a blockage causing the fault, but while I'm here and I've cleaned the valve itself, I might as well clean this pipe out. So basically that's the next thing I've got to try. Then once again reset the code, take it for a drive and see if that light flags again. So next thing to try, clean this out. Right now guys, I'm back. I've just come back from a half-an-hour test drive and I'm very pleased to say that that engine light has remained off. So the last thing I said to you was that I was going to clean that stainless steel pipe out. I checked it as soon as I took it off. It wasn't blocked, but I cleaned it anyway and refitted that. As I didn't think that was going to make a difference, what I did do in the end, and I did this all off camera because it was a little bit involved and I just wanted to get the job done, but I took the EGR valve off again. Obviously I checked I cleaned it properly and everything was moving as it should, and it was absolutely fine. But what I did do this time that I didn't do last time was take apart the actual solenoid motor itself and clean all the contacts and make sure that there wasn't any sort of build up or haze on the magnet or the pickups or anything like that. Now I've bench tested it and it's working a lot better now. Refitted everything. And I've taken this thing for quite a lengthy test drive now, at all different rev ranges, different conditions, under different loads, and I'm very, very pleased to say that engine light has remained off, so I'm going to call that a job done. So, engine light, that's sorted. I can now move on to other parts of the Jimny. So, while the engine's still nice and warm from that test drive, to make sure that light was staying out, I'm going to crack on and do the oil and filter, because this car has got great service history. It's been done sort of every 10,000 miles, which means based on that it is due for an oil and filter if I'm going to keep up with it, which of course I want to. So yeah, oil and filter time. So as I mentioned, the engine is warm, so the oil is nice and runny. I've also got the filler cap off at the top, so it's less likely to airlock and it's going to run out freely. Oil doesn't look too bad. To be honest, I don't think the car's had a whole lot of use since the last service, but as I say, I want to keep up with the 10,000 mile service intervals, so that's why I'm doing this. And it's not that expensive. I think it's worth doing. If it gives the new owner peace of mind, it's nothing but a good thing in my book. So I don't think I'm going to need this second catch tray. I'll let that trickle out. I'll catch up with you when it's all dry. Okay then, that oil and filter have now been changed. I've run the car up, it's absolutely fine, I've topped the levels up, everything is perfect. Now of course, I'm going to do the air filter as well, but I've been waiting for that to arrive. While I have been waiting for the air filter, what I did do is get this car up further on the ramp and had a good look at the underside of it, so the chassis itself and the underside of the body, because I wanted to make sure that there was no rust or corrosion, either it was going to fail the MOT or be a problem down the line for the new owner. So I'm pleased to say everything was pretty solid. There's a few areas I've had to wire brush back, put some rust converter on it, and then once that's gone off, I've put some Gravitex on there just to protect it for the future. There was one area which I did feel could potentially upset the MOT tester, and that was one of the rearmost body mounts was slightly corroded. I'll insert a clip of that now, but what I did was basically clean it up, plate it. I went a little bit OTT on the plating, and I've also put converter on top of that, and then seam sealer, and when it's gone off, Gravitex over the top. So a little bit belt and braces, but from what I'm reading, those rear body mounts on these Jimnys can be a bit of a problem area. So for me, fixing it as well as making it slightly better than it was and a little bit more future-proof seems like the move. So yeah, while I was waiting for the air filter, I've done the underside of it. Everything is looking pretty nice under there. I've cleaned the rails up and put protectant on everything. But with all that being said, the air filter has now arrived, so I'm going to whip that one in, and then that is the basic service items done, and I can start moving on to making this thing look a little bit fresher. So, air filter in, I'm going to crack on and do the interior. Okay, that is the interior clean done, and as predicted, the interior has come up virtually like new. I'm really happy with this. Quick clean, obviously we've still got a few things drying here. This will get a little bit of mild heat inside in a minute just to fully dry everything, but it does smell a whole lot better. I use quite a nice smelling shampoo when I do the interior of these cars, and it really does help to make things smell as good as new. So no damage found, which is great. The only thing that was missing from this interior were some mats. Now I do have a tailored set of mats on the way. They haven't arrived yet, but they will be here either tomorrow or the day after, so pretty soon. This car isn't going to get used until the mats are in it, so that's absolutely fine. Door cards again come up really well. All the plastics look fresh. All the material everywhere has been cleaned. I pulled a fair bit of dirt out of the interior, as you'll see shortly, but I'm happy, really I am. There's no major issues to speak of, and this JLX Plus spec Jimny is looking as good, or virtually as good as the day it came out of the showroom. So now that the interior is done, I can move on to looking at the outside of the vehicle, because as you can see, it still looks pretty disgusting. First stage is going to be a clean to get all this loose dirt off. Then I'm going to have to give it a bit of a clay bar, I think, before I can finally start looking at making that paint a bit fresher. There's a couple of other little things I want to tackle as well. The most obvious is this front bumper. If you come down low, you can see the zebra stripe effect on this bit of plastic here. I've done a little test patch with some OWATROL and it's going to come up pretty well, I think. So that will get sorted, because at the moment it's really ugly. I'm very fortunate the wheels are in quite nice condition. No major corrosion, curbing, anything like that. So I'm hoping they'll benefit just from a good clean. They won't have to go out for a refurb or anything. Again, all the tyres are good, so they don't need to be messed with. Really, this is just about cleaning and making this thing shine. So, enough waffling on that front. I'm going to get on, give this a bash with a power washer, get some of this loose dirt off, and then I can have a look at making that paint as good as new. So with that cleanup now done, I can show you the only bit of body damage on this Jimny, and it's on this this front arch here. You can see it's a strange kind of damage. I'm not really sure what would have caused that, but there's a couple of little low spots that need filling, and I'm going to need to match that paint and just blow that in gently. I think this is probably a job for the airbrush. You can see there's a bit of a rub there as well. So whether it's been rubbed and repaired and the repairs come off, because this crazing is a little bit strange, I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty confident I can make that look a lot better than it does at the moment. So that is the next thing I'm going to tackle. That little smart repair is now done. Again, I did it with the airbrush. You saw me do that in a few videos previously. A great little tool. I'm very happy with the results on this arch. In my opinion, an invisible blend, so perfectly happy with that. Now, the other thing I really want to get on with, it's been bugging me for a while, but I'm kind of saving it towards the end of this video, is this plastic valance at the front of the car. It's got that tiger striping, not so much where the number plate was, I guess because it's been protected from UV and things over the years. However, I'm going to get on and treat this now, make this look a lot better. I'm going to use Polytrol, OWATROL stuff. As I said before, I've done a little test patch down here, and I think it's going to work absolutely perfectly. So without much more being said, I'm going to crack on and do that bit now. Okay, new number plates fitted, and that means the Jimny is now finished. I'll give you a little walk around of the car to show you what it's come up like. I'm really pleased with it. I think it's looking as good as it possibly could. Given it's a 2008 vehicle with 53,000 miles on it, I think it's come up like a new pin. I'm really, really pleased with it. Now, to give you a recap of all the bits and pieces I've done, I started out with that mystery engine light, and it turned out to be the motor on the EGR itself. So cleaned all the contacts in there, checked everything through, and that light has remained off, so I'm gonna confidently say that has sorted that issue. Next on the list was to give this thing an interim service, so oil, filters, put an air filter in it as well. That's all it really needed to keep up with its service history, so pretty easy but worth doing. After that, I went underneath and had a look around. Anything that was slightly on the crusty side was cleaned up, had some treatment, and has since had UPOL Gravitex applied just to protect it for the future. There was one little area I found, which was the offside rear body mount just about here. That looked a little bit crispy, and I think that was probably the one thing that the MOT tester would have whinged about. So that had a little bit of plating done to it, loads of protectant put on it, some seam sealer, and again Gravitex. So that should not rear its ugly head again for a very, very long time. That was all the dirty jobs done, so the next thing I had to do was make this thing look a little bit prettier. I didn't show you the polishing stage because I'll be honest, I've done that so many times on this channel and I think it's probably quite boring watching me do it, so I didn't show that, but you can see how well the paint has come up. It is, the good thing about black cars is, I know they look dirty a lot of the time, but when they're clean they really, really pop. They look fantastic. A little bit of paintwork had to be done on this bumper, just on this bumper edge, just here if you remember. So little smart repair with the airbrush. I'm very pleased with how that's come up. That was actually a custom match paint I made here, so I'm very pleased with the colour match. I'm by no means a professional painter or smart repairer, and certainly not a colour matcher, so I'm very pleased that colour match has gone in so well. That was the only damage on the body to speak of, really. So did those, sorry, that bit of paint repair, and I'm very pleased with it. The number plates, they didn't need changing, arguably. But you know, fresh number plates always lift a vehicle. I like putting fresh plates on stuff. Very little cost, it makes things look a lot nicer. Aside from those new plates, it was just giving everything a thorough clean. Now, one of the best bits about this truck, I think, is the interior. It is virtually immaculate. It looks brand new in here. One thing has not arrived yet, and you can probably see right here, I don't have any floor mats in the car. Now, I don't know what it is about my luck and floor mats, but I've got a tailored set of floor mats on order for this thing, and they've been on order for a while. They're coming from the UK, and they should have been here yesterday, and they're still not. So that's the only thing that's missing from this final walk and talk is the floor mats. But Sod's Law says they'll show up as soon as I stop recording. But those floor mats will be in this car before it's sold. But I can't wait any longer because this car is now off to MOT. I'm pretty confident it will pass. Obviously, if it doesn't, if there's anything I've overlooked or haven't seen that causes it to fail, that will get sorted. This car will be getting sold with a fresh 12-month MOT on it. So that's why I can't hang around and wait for those floor mats, but as soon as they come, they'll be going in and this thing will be getting sold. Now, what is it worth? That is the big question. These trucks vary wildly. You can give a few £100s for a Jimny, but it'll be a rough, rusty, old example, potentially a soft top example as well. A modern JLX Plus like this, hardtop with respectable mileage, I want to say it's something around the £7,000 mark, but all I can do is see what else is available, how much it's advertised for, and float this one at a similar sort of price. Maybe come in £100 or so below the average. But as I say, my part of the world, I mentioned before, these cars sell really well. This will be no different. This won't hang around for long as I don't take the mick on the price when I advertise it. Anyway, this has just been a very, very quick video this week, just to show you a quick turnaround car. I wasn't actually planning to record this, but I thought some of you who are following this channel because of the Daihatsu stuff I do might appreciate seeing a little Suzuki Jimny get freshened up. And I think it's come up really well. Okay, so I've got a small update for you. This is a day later. Those mats have now showed up as predicted. Just after I finished filming, they came. So they're now fitted and they're looking really, really good. Mats are a bit like number plates in my opinion. When you fit them, it's a simple thing to do. They're not expensive, but they really, really do add something to the car to make it look a little bit smarter. Anyway, the other bit of news I got for you is I took this into MOT yesterday, and whereas everything was fine, it failed on one thing. So there's no advisories, but it failed on one thing, which was a near side front brake bind. I hadn't noticed that brake was binding. It was very slight, I believe, but as I said before, the MOT place I use is very strict. So they failed it on that brake bind, fair enough. I'd rather know about it anyway. So that is now sorted, and I'm just about to take this thing for MOT retest. So hopefully they'll fit it in today, but I don't think they will, because today is Saturday and they close early. So at the time of you seeing this video on Sunday, I think this thing probably won't have been retested, but next week it should be ready to go. Anyway, just wanted to give you that quick update. Thank you ever so much for watching, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.